Hi, Gene here with my thoughts for today. And my thoughts for today, actually happy thoughts, some encouraging, very good news for some of you out there. Well, I guess for all of us, right? We all live on the same planet, but especially for those of you who may be watching, who are especially worried about the climate. And I frankly, I don't worry I don't worry as much about the climate as I worry about some of the people who worry about the climate, because, some of them, throwing, tomato soup on paintings and blocking highways, and fortunately, mostly in Europe, I believe, and not so much in the United States, but still, I start to think that we need a medical term for them. CCDS, climate change derangement syndrome, because some of these people are really, really worried. So I especially hope that those of you who suffer from CCDS will find what I'm going to share with you in a moment. But first of all, two articles I'll be talking about today. I always link to the articles in the description, so, unless I forget. So, but if I remember, I link to them, and you can find if you want to read an entire article, links in the description. Anyways, here's the first one, and this is a pretty typical article. You see this, you see a lot of these, and, here's just an example. Climate crisis in Antarctica. Antarctica is at a crossroads, or should there be singular, maybe crossroad. The global climate crisis is interrupting natural processes, or processes for those of you in England, across large parts of Antarctica and the Southern Ocean. As we stand on the brink of catastrophic change, the actions we take over the next decade will determine the course of human civilization for generations. So that is a typical article that you see, these concerns about the climate and climate change, and how we're all headed, for doom. And no need to dwell on that so much, because now I have some good news for all of those people. Good news, or is it good news? You'll see what I mean in a moment, because that article talks about Antarctica, and that's one of the examples that that the climate alarmists use. The Antarctica, the ice is melting. Another one, polar bear population decreasing, which you don't hear about much anymore. You don't hear about it at all anymore, because it turns out the polar bear population is increasing. So and so you polar bears out there, you get a little busy, and maybe we'll have even more polar bears that you can shake a stick at in very short order. Anyhow, so that was one, but here's another example, and this should be good news for everybody. Antarctica's astonishing rebound. Ice sheet grows for the first time in decades. Notably, 4 major glaciers in the Wilkes Land, Queen Mary Land region of East Antarctica reversed their previous pattern of accelerated mass loss from 2011 to 2020, and instead showed significant mass gain during the 2021 to 2023 period. And in fact, if you go to and read the whole article, I wasn't going to throw up a whole quote, but actually that increase of ice in Antarctica, it's a record increase. It's a record increase. So that, number one, shows that all these things, these natural weather changes that we see, you're going to sound like, you already sound like a broken record, and you're way into Chicken Little territory. But if you ascribe every severe weather event to, in fact, as I'm recording this now, there are, unfortunately, some arsonists set fires in Israel. There are raging wildfires all around Jerusalem. So much so that Israel, they're so often offering, sending firefighting and medical teams to other countries to help with their catastrophes. Now Israel, this is a catastrophe, and Israel is asking for help. Unfortunately, other countries are sending that help. and this will be another sub. We'll see how this shakes out, but I think things are, however badly, Israel was already planning to, and because the latest hostage negotiations fell through, so Israel now they're calling up more troops, and they're going to go in even heavier. That's their new policy. Every time Hamas dawdles and turns down a deal that Israel offers, they increase the pressure. And now you've had these fires set. They've already arrested suspected arsonists. So this was not an accident. It was deliberate. But that sounds like a digression. But the reason I mention that is because, somebody is going to say, well, it's climate change. That's why this fire. No, it was an arsonist, and the reason these fires are burning so terribly is because the Middle East is hot and dry. That's why. You may have noticed that, or read, or heard that it gets hot and dry in the Middle East. And actually, Israel, they have fires all the time. Just about every year, I think they have some little fire somewhere. But this is a deliberate fire. That's why it's so big. And that's what I'm talking about now, getting back to what I was talking about, Antarctica. So now you have the ice is increasing, and maybe, I would not be surprised at this, that these climate alarmists will say, well, that's why they don't say global warming anymore. That was a term. Now they say climate change. So any change in the weather. So now, who's to say that they won't say that this record increase in Antarctic ice, that's not caused by climate change? But the reason I say why this is great news, or is it because and if the screen got dark, that's because sun went behind a cloud. Actually, for you science buffs out there, you meteorologists, actually a cloud passed in front of the sun, blocking the light from the sun. Which, by the way, sounds like a digression, but some people in England, they're talking about, the sun came out again. So talking about putting some aerosol in the air to block out the sun to help fight global warming. That's how, CCDS, that's how bad it is with some people. But anyways, the reason why this could be bad news or not happy news for the climate alarmists is because, just like with the polar bears, it destroys another narrative. It destroys, just like when they say, we had a lot of tornadoes, record tornadoes one year, I think it was 2-3 years ago, and then the next year, record lack of tornadoes, and so they lose another narrative that these are computer models. We're not talking about actual observations here. We never are. They're talking about computer models predict that ice will continue to melt. We'll all be underwater. I can tell you the way it rains out here in Tennessee, sometimes it feels like we already are underwater. But that's it for today. As I say, is probably news that's going to could make a lot of climate alarmists. It should make them happy. You should be always, just as I am, by the way, I've issued corrections in past vlogs. If I get a fact wrong or something, I'm always happy to make a correction. When you're wrong, you admit your mistake. Climate alarmists do not seem to be in the habit of admitting mistakes, and now they've got a real doozy on their hands because, again, Antarctica, we just had a record increase in ice, and if we have ice melting next year, well, you just say, the year before it increased, and in a future year it will increase. Mother Nature knows, just like you should trust mom, always listen to your mom. So always listen to Mother Nature. She knows what she's doing. She wants the best for us. And if you have bad weather, something, Mother Nature will fix it. And that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Love to hear your comments in the comments section. That's why there is a comment section. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.